So welcome, this is a quick tutorial video based around creating quick white box level prototypes from level design plans. Now, as you can see here, I've kind of pre-built one, and because this is an indoor type level, what I've done, I've built it out of very simple geometry. Um, the old premise of this is it's a prototype level. When we're whiteboxing, we don't want to be spending a lot of time building these things. We just want to build them, um, get them in engine, then we can test them. Because the thing is, you see, we might need to, or more than likely will, make alterations, will change the size of the level. So, because I'm aiming for a 3D style action platformer, what I'm going to do is I will kind of walk you through the process of creating this. Now, if I turn on my Backface Culling, you can see that I've actually populated it with a couple of assets. Um, and I have made it out of only like thin one side. Obviously, I was making this into a proper game. If this was going to be something where we would travel from indoors to outdoors, then I'd more than likely make my walls double thickness, include some windows, include some doors, that kind of thing. But the idea for what I'm going for this currently is just an indoor level, so I can build it, get it in Unreal, and test it out. Right, so I'll start from scratch. So I'll just go File, New Scene. Now, what I want to do first is make sure that I'm in the right scale, so that I'm building things in the right scale for Unreal. Now, Unreal works in meters, so we'll just do the same. So if I go to Windows, Settings, Preferences, and go to Settings here, my linear working units are not right, so if I set them to meters, then my level plan, if I, the first part of that, I want that first room to be around 6 meters wide and about 8 meters long, something like that, approximately. So if I go in to set up my grid, I want to set up my grid in meters squared, which it is, and I've set the length and width of my grid to 13 meters. So that means that from this side here to over here is 26 meters all the way across. So when it sets length and width, you should already be aware it does that from point 0 here in the middle, and the length and width is just one to one side, like where I'm moving my mouse. Right, so what we're going to do, I'm going to bring in a level design plan. Now, it is good if you work from something, then you can get some kind of appropriate scale. You can build something that's more accurate to your actual level design. So if I'm going to pop into my top view and just hit space to make it bigger, and what I'm going to do is go View, Image Plane, and Import Image. Now, I've already made mine. It's here on my desktop. And I want to zoom out. And as you can see at the moment, nowhere near big enough. So if I just scale it and keep scaling, we'll go in here and do that. And as you can see, it's getting a little bit bigger. I want to drop that just below my grid so I can actually see my grid through it. And if I have a look here, what we've got is this room here is about 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little bit big. That's a little bit big for what I want. So I want that approximately about 6 blocks. So what we got, 3, 6, 8, still a bit big. That looks more appropriate because this room here will be about around 4 meters to 5 meters wide. This one will be almost 8, but I think I can deal with that. So I think we're going to call that as is. Now, what we're going to do with this, because when you're working from above, if you're working in an upwards view, you may keep selecting it. So if you just select it, and if you bring up your channel box here, click Add to Layer, and then we can lock it off. So if you just press this little box that's blank, you get a T, which means it's transparent and it's locked. And then you get an R, which means, I don't know what the R means, I've never known, but all I know is that it's locked and you can't select it. Maybe I should look into that. So if also we've got another issue, because we've gone from centimeters to meters, our camera clipping plane needs adjusting. So if you look here, when I try zooming out, everything disappears. Now, if we go over to your camera here, we should be able to change the clipping plane. Let's just have a look. camera attributes, sorry, clicked on the wrong one. So the far clip plane at the moment is set to 100. So if we just delete that decimal point, we should be able to now go in and out as so, and you can see it. So that's a projection map from the image plane. We can just get that out of the way. Right, so we're going to start. So basically, to start this, essentially what I'm going to do, oh, we're going to have to adjust the clipping plane on the upwards view as well. Brilliant, so we've done that. Right, so all I'm going to do, I'm going to build this out of really simple geometry. So I'm going to get a plane, polyplane, and I'm going to drag it out across. Now, if you're using Maya with default preferences, then you may not get that when you go to build a polyplane. You may get that. So when you have to move it, you have to scale it up. Now, that is far too much geometry for what we want. We want to build something really, really simplistic, because all we're essentially trying to do is mock out a really simple level plan. So I would suggest going into create, polygon primitives, and turning on or making sure interactive creation's on. Then when we click a polyplane, we just drag that out according to the size we want it. Now, we're going to keep this quite simple. So we're going to go into edge mode. We're literally just going to map it out as slowly as we can. Right, now, what I need is I need to chop in some areas for this corridor. So what I'm going to do is just drop straight into my modeling toolkit. I'm going to go into multi-cut, and I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click there as well. And then I'm going to go into edge mode, select that edge, Control and E for extrude, and then I'm just going to drag that out. Now, it's not perfect. What I'm going to have to do is just drag these vertexes and get them up there just so they're in the right point. And there we go. Now, to build this next room, what we're going to do, I'll take that edge, Control E to extrude, and just drag it all the way across. Then I'll Control E again. Then I'll select this edge, Control E again, and just drag it down. Right, so now what we've got, this one doesn't line up, so I can literally just delete those. Now, you may be a bit concerned here, and I'm inadvertently creating n-gons. I'll sort that out in a minute. So what I can do across here is delete these vertices here, and I'll cut in 2 more where I want them. So if I just zoom in a little bit, and I can cut these in approximately where I want them, then we'll go back into edge mode, Control E for extrude, drag it across. Then I'll just do the same here, Control E, extrude, drag across. Then Control E, extrude. There we go. And the same here. Now, what I can do with this is, just so it doesn't behave weird in Engine or anything like that, I could automatically cut this up myself. So I attach this to this, or I can just essentially select the face. I believe it's under mesh. So select that face, go mesh, click triangulate, and it'll just triangulate it for me. I'll just have a check on that. Seems okay. If I just lift it up so we can see it, that seems fine. I mean, it's not the cleanest geometry ever, but we're not really aiming for that. We're aiming for something completely different, completely different. So I'll just continue with this. If I just, again, I'm just going to use multi-cut and just chop in myself a couple of points, and then extrude again. And then again here, just Control E, extrude, face, edge, sorry, extrude. And you can see it doesn't quite match up with my drawing. The way I've done my drawing, I've got these like round beveled edges. I shouldn't have really done that. If I want to adjust that later, I can. But for now, I'm not really concerned. I just want to get this thing ready for Unreal. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do multiple extrudes, because if you look at my key over this side, there's a water trap, there's a pit. So I want to be able to add in a bit of extra geometry for these, so that I can just kind of... Now, if you want to be able to see what you're doing here, you can go into shading, turn on X-ray, and then go into shading and turn on wireframe on shaded, I just think that helps you see everything a little bit better. When you're not selected, you can still see your wireframe a bit, and then you can always go into your perspective view to see what's going off in there. Your front views are going to be pretty useless for this type of stuff for most of it. You're going to be mostly working in your top or your perspective view. So again, if I just go back into edge mode, we'll select that. We'll go extrude across, and then one more. Sorted. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to drop in these pits. So if I just select the faces, press delete. If I just select the faces and hit Control E, I'll get an extrude. If I drop into a front view or a side view, this is where it'll be handy. If I just take these down, so like 3 meters be enough. I just essentially want to add a little like death box in there in Unreal. There's going to be obstacles going over these, as you can see when you look at my map, moving platforms, etc. I can deal with those in Unreal because the platforms, again, they don't really matter at the moment. We're just trying to get like a base level knocked up. So another thing I want to do is build some quick walls. Now, again, this might be a bit scrappy the way I'm going to do it, but if I just select, double click the outer edge in edge mode, hit Control E, hit W for move, and then drag them walls up, what we've got, you can see in here, I would say 3 meter walls for the most part. And then I would say in this bit, because this is going to be a bigger room, I would say click on this edge here, hold shift, double click this one, and then it extrude again, another extrude on there. And I'd say a couple more meters for this roof. I want it to be a bit different. Now, while this is selected, I'm just going to go mesh, fill hole, and it's basically filled everything in. Oh, no. Now we're going to have a bit of a problem here because I've not kind of created anything. So if I just delete that and I'll just bridge up this gap. So if I go select those two edges, hit bridge, sorted. So this is now identified as a separate piece. So if we go mesh, fill hole, and same on this bit, select it all, mesh, fill hole. Now everyone's levels are going to be different depending on what you're developing. This is just a video that's just aimed at like showing you a really quick method of being able to kind of just knock up a quick level. If you've got any ideas, if you've got any of these ideas jotted down, you can see how quickly I've built this. I'm kind of about 12 minutes into a video and we've kind of got the basis of what we want. We've got the basis of the level. So if I turn off X-ray, what we can do, because these are one-sided faces, we've only built it using planes and single faces. If I turn on Backface Culling, what that'll do, that'll switch off normal. You'll only be able to see faces facing in the normal direction. If I couple that with wireframe on shaded, I think you get a better sense of what your level is going to look like. Now, with that, all I'm going to do with it is just prepare it for export. So I'm going to go edit, delete all by type history. I need to freeze its transformations. So just go into modify, freeze transforms. That's frozen everything out in my channel box. That's all ready for export now. If I just name it, I'm going to go into mesh and name it level 1 base because it's essentially the base level. That'll do. I'm going to leave it with a Lambert 1. I don't want to do anything fancy with it. I'm not giving it any textures, materials, anything like that for the time being. Now what I can do is I can drop that in a layer and lock that off. Now I think I'm ready to start knocking up some assets. So for example, if I want to build this cube, go into cube mode, drag that out, and then I'll have to drop into side view. I've dragged it out, but it won't quite be right. No, way too big. So if I just go into here and change it to I would say probably a 1.5 meter cube. Let's have a look. It's probably going to be about 1.5. That'll do. Like I say, I'm only knocking this up quick. If I want to independently adjust any of these in Unreal, I can. So I'm just going to lift this up to where it belongs. F to frame it, and then I can just get a true sense of where it's going to sit. And then we'll just Control D, move it, because I just want it to match up with my map, and then Control D again, move it to a rough place, Control D again, and you can see I'm just starting to drop all these in. Anywhere else where there's any crates identified on my map, then I can just start to drop these in. Loose placement will do for now. I can always, once I've placed them all, grouped them. So what I can do now is if I select that lot, you'll see when I go into here, I've got all my cubes selected. So I can go in again, a layer, lock them off, and then I can call that crates, for example. And then this one is the level, isn't it? So if I call that one level, oh, it didn't name that one. If I call that one crates, sorted. So yeah, so I'm just going to do that. Obviously, as you can see, there is a lot more on my level map. When we dive or end up diving into Unreal in a further part in this video, you'll obviously see that it's probably a little bit more full. There'll probably be like a few more assets in there. As you can see, this floor as well, I've not quite followed my map. So what I should be doing in this bit as well, I'll just quickly do this before we finish. So if I just get rid of all those, what I can do, got no extra vertices there. So I'm just going to go in and drop an edge loop in for this. It won't because of the way I've cut it up previously. So I'll just drop a multi-cut in, it's fine. So drop in a multi-cut, and then I can just adjust these vertices a little bit to straighten that up. It's not quite straight. That'll do for now. And then multi-cut again. Again, I'm just going to have to manually go in. It's a little bit scrappy doing it this way. It's not perfect by any means, not perfect at all. But going back to what I said, you're just wanting to build something really fast. Obviously, this, I've got to do it. I've got to pay this little bit of care and attention to this bit because it's part of my level. I've just got to do it. Right, so this bit here is going to play awkward. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave that bit out. I'm literally just going to leave it out. It's fine. So if we jump on my multi-cut here, you can see again, really scrappy. So if I just go in, individually select some vertices and drop that in. It is a little bit of a pain. You are going to be doing some of this finicky stuff, but again, I would say now with that face, I need to. Oh, what's going off here? I've got two lots of vertices, so we're going to do a target weld here. Oh, no, wrong way. We need to target weld back to that. No, we don't. There's something a little bit amiss here. I think what might be a good idea is, I know exactly what I've done. Yeah, so don't fall into this trap. Basically, what I've essentially done, I've been doing it to roof, as you can see. So if we get rid of all these roof bits, you can see I've created all these extra bits of geometry. So again, by trying to do something really quick, I've made a bit of an error. But yeah, quickly cleaned up. Not really any issues there. So not too bad. I'll tell you what I could do, to be fair, because this level's going to be a little bit of a pain. I could literally just drop it in like that for now. And then what we'll do is we'll just drop this as well. Control E for extrude. And then there we go. And then we've got a bit of a pit in there as well. So if I select that again, go mesh, not combine. sorry, wrong one, mesh, fill hole, and then mesh, fill hole. Make sure that it's okay. Yeah, that's fine. And then what I'll do, the moving platforms, I won't bother building them in here. Like I said, I'll build them in Unreal. So again, because I've made changes, I just want to delete all that, delete its history. Everything's okay in here. I think it's just ready, to be honest. So what we do is we don't want to select the reference imagery. First of all, as well, we want to save this file. So obviously, I would, just in case, what I normally do is in case you're using a different version of Maya at home or anything like that, I would just save as an MA. So I'm just going to do level plan underscore v1 version 1 save as. Right, so we're going to do the same to the crates as well. So if I hold shift and drag select, we've got all the crates selected. So if I go edit, delete, or by type history, we'll call it crates. And then we're ready. So I think the best thing for us to do is we drag select over everything, file, export selection. We're going to drop into options just to make sure everything's set up right. So we're going to go FBX, everything's fine. We should be good to go. So if we drop into here, just want to check our scale, make sure our units are going to be all right. At the moment, if you leave FBX, I've not checked this in Unreal 5 as of yet, but I know in Unreal 4, this has been an issue for me quite a lot. If you leave the scale factor as is, it can cause a few issues. So what I would recommend doing is just dropping into this bit before you export it, untick automatic, and change your file units converted to centimeters. That way, your scale factor goes to 100.0 and everything should be fine. So I'm going to drop this on my desktop. I'm going to call it level plan. Doesn't like spaces, does it? So I'm going to call it level 1. That's what we'll call it, level 1. And we'll go export, and we're ready to go. So thank you for watching. If you've got any questions or anything to say, just please drop a like on, drop any comments in the description, and thank you.